Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Fishing Adventure Hawke's Bay. In this video I'll be showing you how to install the fuel sender and also the fuel gauge on your boat. So this is a universal fuel sender from V3 Marine Electronics in Marine, New Zealand, and the gauge is from Mercury. This is the digital gauge. I thought I'd be a little bit more fancy and install the digital one instead of the traditional analog gauge, and in this episode I'll be showing you how that's done. As with everything, I normally like to do a bench test first, set it all up on the bench, get it working and test it all out before I install it on the boat. It just makes it a lot easier than having to install it, coming up with a problem and then trying to fix it on the boat, where you can sort of set it up on the bench first, and then you if there's any problems that come up, you can fix it right there and makes it a lot easier. We're going to be measuring the arm's length, the shaft length according to the tank that you've got, and then installing the fuel gauge and making sure that the float levels and everything works out the way it should. I need to measure my tank. Measured my tank and that came up to 8.5 inches. This shaft has to be half the size of the fuel tank plus 1 inch, and that's from the bottom of this seal. So if I go down, 4.25 plus 1 inch gives me 5 inch and 1/4, and I made a mark there. That's where I'm going to be cutting the shaft. This little arm is adjustable. It has the 2 screws, so you can adjust that up and down according to your tank. On this occasion I needed to have it 6.3 millimeters from where the half line of my tank is. So I've measured the half line of my tank was 4.5 inches, which is over there, and then 6.3 mils from there is where you actually mount your bracket for your float arm. Because my tank is 8.5 inches, I have to cut this this arm, add 6 inches. So from that line to there, 6 inches, that's where I'm going to mark this arm and cut it from there. So 6 inches from the line that you cut this arm. This end stopper has to be 3.5 mils from the end stopper, and on the other end I just have it a similar distance between the two for the float to be able to move up and down. So how I actually make sure that this works is going to work fine. I have the bottom line of my tank there, and when the float hits the end, this is in line with the bottom of my tank. When it goes up to the top, that is in line with the top of my tank. So that then you know you've got your settings correct. If it's not perfectly, it's a bit low on this end and a bit low on that end, then you just adjust this screw and make sure you've got it lined up. The top of your float is there and the bottom of your tank is there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this arm over there, and then we'll hook it up to the battery and the gauge and make sure that it actually works the way it should. Happy with that. Set it up and test it. So negative, we'll be going to negative with the negative from my gauge, and then the negative will be going to the negative on your fuel sender. And then we have positive. Then we have the negative from the fuel sender, from the gauge to the fuel sender. The black wire goes onto the S of the fuel sender. And then we have positive. That obviously goes to your positive terminal, and we have the orange and yellow cables. The orange cable is actually just a red light on the fuel gauge, so that will bring up a red light for your fuel light. And if you use the yellow together with your positive, that will bring up a yellow light. I don't know if you can see it, but that's a yellow light on the yellow wire and a reddish orange light on the orange wire. At the moment seems to be working. If I put it all the way down, that's got 0%, and as soon as I bring it up to the top, it's on 100. Well, it goes to 100% at the very top. So depending on your fuel line level dropping slowly, that will be going down, 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 all the way till there's nothing in the tank. Seems to be working fine. So from here I'm just going to cut this shaft down to the level that it needs to be, and install that on my fuel tank. That's all ready for action. I just tidied up the cables a little. Ideally I would have liked to actually cut these cables shorter according to the length that I required and remake these, but I don't have some of these fittings, so I can't do that. So there's the hole where the fuel sender will be sitting in, so I'm just going to slip it in there, and then I'll be lining up the holes and fastening it with these stainless steel screws. That's my fuel sender in place. Now it's just getting the cables to here, and then having the fuel gauge connected and installed. So there the fuel sender is installed, and I've made the connections, the negative connections. One negative will be going to the negative of the battery, and the other negative will be going to the gauge. I've decided to have my fuel gauge installed right there, so I'm just going to be drilling the hole. I'm just going to be drilling the hole and then mounting the fuel gauge in there. I've checked at the back that there's no cables that I'll be drilling into, and I'm also just above the capping that will be running on the bottom. Right, so that just fits in there, perfect. Getting that straight, and then this goes on the back, this screws on the back and keeps it from coming back out. So this is where our positive connection goes. Positive of the battery. This blue wire will be going to our negative connection of the battery. Bear in mind that positive is fused, and if there's any short on the cable to the fuel tank or on the gauge, then that fuse should blow, and that will help against any of the cables actually burning up. Always fuse the positive wires for any connection you do. Alright, so the black wire is going to the negative of the fuel sender, and the other negative will also be going to the negative on the connector block. That's our fuel gauge. It's on 0 at the moment. Obviously there's no fuel in the tank, but it's working. And that was installing a fuel sender and fuel gauge on a boat. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please support me by subscribing to my channel and follow me during the process of finishing my boat. Have a good one.